ફળ છે ક્રોધના, જ્ઞાની એમ બોલે. રીસ તણો રસ જાણીએ, હલાહલ તોલે. કડવા ફળ છે ક્રોધના, જ્ઞાની એમ બોલે. રીસ તણો રસ જાણીએ, હલાહલ તોલે. કડવા ફળ છે ક્રોધના. ક્રોડ પુરવ તણું સંયમ ફળ જાય. ક્રોધ સહિત તપ જે કરે, તે તો લેખે ન થાય. કડવા ફળ છે ક્રોધના, જ્ઞાની એમ બોલે. રીસ તણો રસ જાણીએ, હલાહલ તોલે. કડવા ફળ છે ક્રોધના. સાધુ ઘણો તપિયો હતો, ધરતો મન વૈરાગ. શિષ્યના ક્રોધ થકી થયો, ચંડ કોશિયોના. કડવા ફળ છે ક્રોધના, જ્ઞાની એમ બોલે. રીસ તણો રસ જાણીએ, હલાહલ તોલે. કડવા ફળ છે ક્રોધના. આગ ઉઠે જે ઘર થકી, તે પહેલું ઘર બાળે. જડનો જોગ જો ન વિજાણે, તો પાસેનું પર જાણે. કડવા ફળ છે ક્રોધના, જ્ઞાની એમ બોલે. રીસ તણો રસ જાણીએ, હલાહલ તોલે. કડવા ફળ છે ક્રોધના. રત્ન કહે ક્રોધને, કાઢજો ઘડ સાહી. કાયા કરજો નિર્મળી, ઉપશમ રસ નાહી. કડવા ફળ છે ક્રોધના, જ્ઞાની એમ બોલે. રીસ તણો રસ જાણીએ, હલાહલ તોલે. કડવા ફળ છે ક્રોધના.
Do little things affect you? Do you feel frustrated by behavior of others? Do you react or respond to situations I bet all of us react too soon. So hello, high five. This is Dipanshi, here to share stories and more. Because stories are the most powerful way of putting ideas into reality. When a person shares a story, every word seems like a reality happening around. So today, I'll be discussing about temper and our reaction to it. I strongly believe the way you say something is always more important than what you say. Your gestures and tone speaks more than the denoted words. Reacting and responding appear so similar, yet they carry a big gulf of difference in practice. When something discomforts us, we tend to react in order to be defensive. It's not always the situations or circumstances that makes us react. Sometimes our own emotions and deep-rooted beliefs are the reasons. Gap between eyebrows gets snapped. The curve on the lips gets flattened. Heart becomes empty of empathy and mind becomes absent. For time being, reacting can satiate you, but there's always a downside to it. It's the moment where our emotions override our rational thinking and takes us forward. Self-control is lost when nothing useful is gained. The other side of the coin talks about responding. क्या आपने कभी try किया है? When any situation boiled your blood? Responding demands thoughtfulness and logic. That's where it leads in the race. Responding can help you avoid a heated argument. It can change the direction of interaction. It may be solid yet subtle and can lead to engaging conversation. Imagine a situation: you visited a restaurant. A cockroach flew from somewhere and sat on a shoulder of a lady. What would the lady do? Batao. This is her reaction. Let's take it further. Disturbed by the cockroach, the lady shouted, jumped, and somehow managed to throw the creature away. Now, this creature landed on another lady in the group. She continued the drama and shouted in trembling voice. Her screams were scarier than the cockroach. She also managed to get rid of the cockroach. Now, the notorious being chose a man who was witnessing all this drama since long. Men are men. He didn't express anything over the resting cockroach on his shoulder. With confidence in his eyes, he grabbed it with fingers and gently placed the cockroach out of the window. So now, my question to all of you is, क्या वो cockroach था जिसने सारा drama create करा? If yes, then why it didn't impact the man? How could he handle it with peace? It was not the cockroach. Rather, the inability to deal with the situation create chaos. Ladies reacted while the men responded to it. It's not the shouting of the boss, chiding of parents, tongue lashing of elders that troubles a person. Rather, is the inability to control our emotions, which creates topsy-turvydom. Ever been stuck in traffic? कैसा लगता है? Does the jam seems going concern and cause you frustration? Does the honking, pee-pee, pom-pom bother you? Of course it does. But a problem is not a problem. Rather, reacting to the problem creates the real problem. Reactions are instinctive, whereas responses are well thought of just and right to save a situation from going out of hands. Take a pause. Think for a moment. It may help you to avoid crack in a relationship, to avoid taking decisions in anger, anxiety, and stress. Let's take one more situation. You're watching your favorite sport, cricket match on TV. It's the last over. The game is on climax. The bowler had just bowled second last ball and your mom enters the room to create a vision block between you and TV. She opens the cupboard to take out something. You will be furious right now. You'll lose your temper for sure. Like, why she wants to take out something? Why she entered the room? Blah blah. So, क्या आपने react किया या respond? Here is another story piece to you. There was once a little boy who had bad temper. His father gave him a bag of nails and told him that every time he lost his temper, he must hammer a nail into the back of the fence. The first day, the boy had driven 37 nails into the fence. Over the next few weeks, as he learned to control his anger, the number of nails hammered daily gradually dwindled down. He discovered it was easier to hold his temper than to drive those nails into the fence. Finally, the day came when the boy didn't lose his temper at all. He told his father about it, and the father suggested the boy now pull out one nail each day that he was able to hold his temper. The days passed, and the young boy was finally able to tell his father that all the nails were gone. The father took his son by the hand and led him to the fence. He said, "You have done well, my son, but look at the holes in the fence. The fence will never be the same. When you say things in anger, they leave a scar just like this one. You can put a knife in a man and draw it out, but it won't matter how many times you say, 'I'm sorry, I'm sorry.' The wound is still there." The little boy then understood how powerful his words were. He looked up at his father and said, "I hope you can forgive me, Father, for the holes I put in you." The father said, "Of course I can." I don't remember where I got this story, but it rang true with me as I look back in my younger days. I think the lesson the young boy in this story learns is such an important one. And also, this is a lesson that unfortunately many of us learn much later in life. When we are young, saying or doing mean or hurtful things out of anger or frustration to the ones we love, or even strangers for that matter, seems pretty easily repeated. As children, we are confident that the adults and people in our lives are more than capable to forgive and forget our offenses, no matter what we would say or do. It's not until we reach adulthood that we realize the long-term damage our words and actions can have on one another. Suddenly, as adults, we look back on our own lives at the times when someone hurt us with our cruel words or actions. And although we were able to forgive them, there are some things we discover which we are never able to truly forget. The fact is, there are some things that we may say or do that ultimately can never be taken back, no matter how many times we apologize to the ones we hurt. Unfortunately, we tend to realize the level of irreversible damage we caused only in hindsight. And even more, the ones we tend to hurt the worst are the people we usually love the most. As the saying goes, to err is human, to forgive is divine. Which is true. We are humans, we make mistakes, and sometimes we say or do things we don't mean out of anger in times of great frustration and sadness. Yet, every time we are in a dispute with a friend, disagreement with a loved one, or even just having a bad day, it's so important to remember to pause and take a moment to think about the possible repercussions our actions and words could have on others. It's only natural that we will have times in future where we will lose our temper or be pushed to personal our limits. However, when we find ourselves in those times of great frustration and anger, we must be sure that whatever we say or do in those moments won't, like the nails hammered in the fence, end up having permanent holes in the ones we love and in relationships important to us that we will never be able to forget. Make sure you control your temper the next time you're tempted to say something you'll regret later. So, let me put another situation in front of you. You're rushing on platform and missed your train by just few seconds. Now, you'll have to wait another 20 minutes to catch the next train. You will blame that one call which made you miss the train. You will recollect past experiences and get upset. Your co-passengers are asking something and you're not answering it properly. Why? Because you're upset over something which is not in your control. A man can be measured by size of his anger. Very small things can make us angry or disturb us. We may blast at any odd minute. Our saturation point has gone down while excitement level is escalated. हम अपना खाने आने तक का भी वेट नहीं कर सकते. If we are knocking on the door, we expect it to be open in the first knock. See, if we are calling someone, we expect it to be answered in 1 or 2 rings. If we are supposed to use elevator, we expect it to be on the floor where we are in queue. If we are at billing desk in any supermall, we just want it to be without queue. Before discussing solutions to such behavior, let's discuss the root cause which is imbibing such traits in our nerves. Our eating habits describe this. Prime reason is our diet. The spicier the food is, the higher the temper of a person becomes. High-fat food items increases aggression. Our food choices have moved strongly towards ultra-processed products, which is influencing our mental health. Symptoms like irritability, explosive rage, unstable mood took a high since last few years. Till recently, there was no evidence showing the connection between type of music you listen to and the way you behave. Let me ask you one question. Are you fond of rap music? Do you love fast and loud sounds? Then this is for you. People who are fond of rap songs tend to have high risk of aggression and violence. Vice versa, classical music, which youngsters don't prefer usually, pacify the aggression and stimulate the functioning of brain in a positive manner. Rhythm of good music can counter the development of clinical depression as well. Nice music not only affects nervous system but also cardiovascular system, respiratory system and digestion process as well. Interesting, isn't it? Listening to good composition can improve metabolism and blood circulation. This is why you might have seen people who listen to music whenever they are sad or stressed about something. Let me tell you something about Gerard Depardieu. He was a great French actor. In his childhood, he used to stutter. No voice therapist or advanced technology could solve this issue. Once, a doctor advised him to listen good music for 2 hours. He continued this for few months and his problem evaporated. Even unborn babies also react to music, claim the researchers. Good music can enhance creative and intellectual development. India has witnessed the existence of great music artists like Tansen, who could bring Rain by Megh Malhar, Light Lamp by Deepak Rag. Nowadays, people love music, especially rap music, rock and roll and soup songs, music whose beats are above normal. This shift from slow to fast music also contributed to escalation of rage in human behavior. The next reason is something you may not agree, but yes, latest technology is also a major factor behind impatient behavior. The old equipments were resistant and reactive, but the new ones are instant and obedient. Things are now just one click or touch away. You touch a button, food starts getting reheated. You press a button and you reach topmost floor of a multi-story building. You click and mail is sent. But speedy action is not always possible. Because in routine, our interaction is not only with machines, but also with human beings who can't work as fast as machines. So, when you face a situation where you have to wait, you get agitated, like delay in order at restaurant. This makes you restless. There you forget this fact that humans machine nahi hai. Neither machines can replace human in entirety. That's why we lose our tempers so easily. We can't change these traits overnight, but practicing a few things can help us. Number one is control. Always use a control on what you're saying and what you're doing. Not every situation demands an immediate reaction. 3 things never come back: the spent arrow, the spoken word, and the lost opportunity. National Father of India, Mahatma Gandhi, set a great example on this. Once, he was sitting between 2 British officers. One of them said, "You ass." The other one said, "You donkey." Gandhiji knew he was being targeted by the 2 officers, but he didn't react. This continued for long. After they stopped, Gandhiji responded, "Neither I'm ass nor I'm donkey. In fact, I'm stuck between the 2." Both of them felt like being dumped in the dustbin. लोगों को बोलने दो, बुरा भला कुछ भी. You don't need to do the same to make them realize something. Another story is of George Bernard Shaw, who was walking over a narrow bridge. Once he saw his enemy crossing the same bridge from another end. His enemy said in disgust that, "I will never give way to an idiot." Bernard smiled and replied, "But I will." And he gave sight to him. What do we learn from these incidences? Keep your smile so affordable that anyone can have it with ease, and your temper so heavily bright so that you cannot lose it easily. Because we all know great conquerors never fight on small issues. Number 2, consider. Analyze your words someday. You will find that most of the time we argue, we don't discuss. Arguments throws heat on the subject, while discussion throws light on it. In argument, the matter of concern is who is right, while in discussion, the focal point is what is right. One must consider situations surrounding an external environment of a person before reaching to a conclusion. Number 3, compromise. Compromise means giving up rights. But if it's one-sided, it can't go longer. Sometimes we have to stretch ourselves to sustain a relationship. It's better to bend than to break. When cyclone comes, strong trees gets uprooted, but soft grass stays grounded because it bends for a while. It's not surrender, but a strategy. Take a halt. Never take decision when you're hungry, when you're angry, when you're lonely, and when you're tired. So, keep decisions on hold. When we lose temper, we lose our thought process, our efficiency, our memory, our popularity, our emotions, and our relations. So, my dear friends, it's better to lose weight than losing temper. If Duryodhan could control his temper, our Draupadi, words of war like Mahabharata could have been avoided. Big wars can be avoided by being little calm and composed. Why to create a mountain when a small bridge can work? Here's another story for you, which will definitely force you to think that anger harms ourselves more than it does to others. One day, a snake entered a carpenter's workshop. It was dark in there. When snake moved, it collided with something and got slightly injured. Because of this, snake got angry and lifted his hood. He tried to bite the thing which had hit him. In this effort, he also injured his face. Then, not understanding what was happening to him and thinking that thing was trying to attack him, it decided to roll around that thing as if it wanting to suffocate him with all his strength. Unfortunately, this time, snake's whole body was covered in blood and it couldn't move anymore. Next day in the morning, when carpenter entered his workshop, he found snake wrapped around a sharp saw. Dead. It was not the saw that hurt the snake, but it was snake's own anger that led him to death. Learning? What do we learn? Sometimes we react in anger, thinking about hurting those who hurt us, but unknowingly we are hurting ourselves only. Therefore, sometimes it is better to ignore such people and situations because reacting to them can bring consequences which are irreversible and catastrophic. So, if you are patient in one moment of anger, you will escape 100 days of sorrow. So, चाहे कोई भी situation हो, never lose your temper. Thank you. Stay tuned. All the very best.